back to Creatively Teaching. If you are new here, my name is Emily, and on this channel we talk about all things related to teaching for online teachers and in-person teachers. I like to share tips and tricks with you, as well as things that I have learned along the way, my personal experience. So today's video, we are talking about 5 mistakes that I made as a substitute teacher. Hopefully these tips help you so that you don't make these same mistakes. Number 1, afraid to ask for help from the office, other staff, and students. I'm one of those people that definitely feels like I'm a bother to others, and that's a self-esteem issue. But what I really need to focus on is making the class as productive as possible and making my job as efficient as possible. And the way that I can do that is to get advice from others that have already been through it, they know what needs to be done, and they already know the expectations for the school. I think one of the really important things that you should do as a substitute teacher is to make sure that you either check with office staff or a teacher really close by. If there is a fire drill, where is the nearest exit? How do you go about it? What are their rules and regulations for that? Because you never know when there's going to be a fire drill. Luckily, in my time as a substitute teacher, we've only had one fire drill so far, and it was a planned one, and I knew about it ahead of time, and I got to discuss with other teachers what to do. But I realized in that moment that at all the other schools that I taught at, I never knew what to do for a fire drill, and if that happened, I definitely would have been left stranded and helpless. Especially in the case of an actual fire, this is a real danger to the student if I don't know what's going on. When it comes to asking your students for help, this is really great because the students love pretending like they are the teacher. They love helping me out, and there's always at least one student who's willing to tell me the right thing. You'll definitely notice that some students will try to tell you what the right rules are for the class, but they are definitely not the right rules. And you'll learn that quickly when you ask students if they are allowed to go to the nurse with a buddy or not. And then you send 2 students to the nurse, and the nurse sends one back and says only 1 student at a time. I learned that very quickly. But another way that students can help you is asking them, how does your teacher control the classroom when it gets too noisy? And usually they will have a different thing. At pretty much every school it's different. Some of them go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then the kids go, I was talking, now I'm done. And then we have certain clapping or just holding up the 0. They all respond in different ways. So I always make sure that I find out from the student what the best classroom management techniques are for noise level. The other one is for keeping them in their seats and what is allowed. So some classrooms have certain special seats that they can sit in while they are working. And I ask, how often are you allowed to sit in those seats? How often do you change them up? So I try to find that one reliable student who's going to give me the best advice so that we have a really efficient and productive day. It's really interesting to see how students are kind of thrown off balance when they get a substitute teacher, and you'll notice that definitely in their behavior. And maybe you don't do something exactly like their teacher, and that's okay. I'm actually going to go into reason number 2, which is taking misbehavior personally and not setting expectations at the beginning of the class. So I think it's really important as a substitute teacher that when you go into the class, you are saying, hey, I know I'm not your normal teacher. I might do things a little bit differently, and that's okay. But here are my expectations. Here is how this class is going to go. And I think doing it that way, the kids already know what to expect from you. They aren't as confused, and I find that there's less misbehavior when I set those expectations first thing rather than correct bad things when they happen. Like I said, you're gonna notice a lot of misbehavior when you're a substitute teacher. I don't really know why that is and why the students feel like they can act differently. I think it's just, again, that change and shift in what they are used to as far as like the classroom pace and how it usually runs. And I try to be okay with that too, and I try not to take that misbehavior personally. At first I kind of did, and I thought there was something wrong with my teaching or the kids just hated me, but it was just something new and different to them. And again, this misbehavior is okay and it's to be expected, but you need to set those expectations at the beginning of the class. Number 3, not going into the classroom with a game plan for classroom management. This is kind of similar to what I've been talking about, but I need to personally know what my expectations are, how I'm going to run that class, and what is expected of my students. So I need to make sure that my game plan is consistent. And I think at first I didn't have one, and then I was trying too many different ones and I couldn't decide what I liked to use for the classroom. And then eventually I settled on what I think fit my personality the best. I'm a teacher who doesn't like to yell, for example. I think yelling wastes a lot of my energy, and I don't want to expend all of my energy on a class that's not behaving well. So my way of using classroom management for noise level is to be very quiet when I am talking, so the students are forced to lower their voices so that they can hear me. Or just the simple waiting, and the students will notice you waiting, and then they will shush each other and get each other to stop. Therefore, I'm again not expending so much energy to get them to stop talking. They're kind of doing it themselves. I'm definitely going to show more videos on here talking about classroom management and some of my advice and tips and things that have worked for me. So if you're interested in seeing that, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss a video. Number 4, arriving too close to my start time. As a substitute teacher, it's really hard when you get that schedule because you don't know when you are arriving if you're not doing a full day what is going on. So oftentimes I teach half days just because I have a chronic illness and I have a puppy and I need to take care of him and I need to take care of myself. So I'll either do like a morning shift from 7:30 to 11:30, or I'll do an afternoon shift from 12 to 4. And when I arrive, I don't know if it's my lunch period, my planning period, if I'm arriving in the middle of a class. And if I arrive too close to that start time, like say I have to be there at noon and I arrive at 11:55, that doesn't give me a lot of time to, first of all, figure out the parking situation, because I teach at a lot of different schools, to figure out where the classroom is that I'm teaching and to make sure that I have everything that I need. And in case I hit traffic and whatnot along the way, I need to make sure that I am on time. So I always aim to arrive 15 minutes early before my start time. I want to make sure that I'm hopefully there. If it's a brand new school, I'll try to be there 20 minutes early, just because figuring out the parking situation can be kind of difficult at some schools. And number 5, trying to make sure that I fit everything in the lesson plan in the class for that day, instead of making sure that the students really grasp the concept of a few things that are in the lesson plan. Most of the teachers will tell you that it's okay if you don't get to everything, and they truly mean that. I have found myself rushing students and pushing students to get ahead, and I found myself realizing that they didn't really understand what we were just working on or why. Now I take the time to make sure that the students are really understanding and grasping the concept that I'm trying to teach. And then I leave very detailed notes for the teacher. You know, we got to this and we covered this really well. The students understand it perfectly, but we didn't get to this. So that teacher can make sure to touch on it when they come back to the classroom. So these were 5 mistakes that I've made as a substitute teacher. Let me know if these were helpful for you below in the comments, and let me know as well if you have made some of these mistakes or if you've made some other mistakes. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Make sure you subscribe for more A+ advice, and I will see you in the next video.